any way when people say, "Oh, you work with Phil Collins. What was he like?" Well, the point of it is, he was a bloke. And do you not think it's the role of every megastar when you meet McCartney, or if you do, oh, Paul McCartney, he was very nice. He said hello, but they should say that they're fucking people. They should. That's their right to, or our right to expect them to be nice people. They should be, not arseholes.
Well, I've worked with McCartney and Elton and all these people. My rule of thumb is, if the person had a real job before they entered the business, then they get it. If they've worked on a building site, they were a cab driver, worked in a gas station, whatever it was, then they know what it's like to have a real job. True. And so underneath it all, they have respect. I mean, when I worked with McCartney, his manager, I was living in LA at the time, his manager said, "Why don't you give Paul a ring right now? He's in the car." And I'm like, most people say, "We'll put you in touch with his people and they will arrange a phone call." And he just gave me Paul's number right there and then. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm calling one of the people. I'm still in my pajamas. After the job was finished, the phone rang and I pick it up and it's, "Hello, it's Paul here. Love the video. Thank you very much." And, like I said, I've done nearly 400 videos and he's one of the few people who's ever rung me up to say thank you.
Wow. That's amazing.
I worked with Phil Collins once, and we were doing a shoot and we were in the street and talking about the work and somebody came up obviously to ask him for an autograph or whatever. And he was so lovely to the person. And afterwards, he turned around and smiled. And I said, you were so warm and generous to them. And he says, "You have to be. I feel it's an obligation because, tomorrow I won't remember that, but she might remember that for a long time to come. And, I don't want her telling everyone that Phil Collins was an unpleasant guy. I feel it's my obligation. The payback is to be pleasant to everybody who has, who is interested enough to say hello. I should return that favor to them."
Sorry, go on. Any point? On the traverse of that alley, did you find in your, forgive me, the heyday, but did you find it conducive? Did you find people were happy to work with you? Did you find opposition from other people? Did you feel people were jealous of your overwhelming success? Did you feel that at all, Ali?
Well, yes and no. I mean, generally, people we met were, as we just said, normal people come and meet you, and you're just a musician, just another fella, like you said, and so that was a good experience. But the converse side was that we were from Liverpool at a time when a lot of bands were coming out, and although we knew most of them, but you could sense like some jealousy that we'd actually gone to the States and made something, because in England we were kind of snubbed, but we always had our aim on the United States anyway, so that wasn't too bad. But yeah, we did feel some kind of jealousy on that score.
No, it's funny, isn't it? And Brian, what about you? I mean, your success has been sort of right across the board. I mean, in other words, you haven't. Well, you have charted. I know you've had chart success, but have you felt, as a Brit in America and someone who's really made a name, have you felt people have supported you or knocked you? How's it been?
Well, when I first came here, you really hit by, you're a very small fish in a big sea. First thing that hit me, other than the buildings in New York, absolutely, they love us. I think Americans love the Brits in general, and I've never had a problem with anybody. It was difficult to convince people that I was not a transient. I wasn't going to be in LA and then go off somewhere else. They're very particular about that because there's a lot of people that just drift through. So I was there ready at the other side of the phone for any sessions or whatever. And I couldn't live anywhere else now but here.
I understand. Nick, I'm going to, because we're over to you, and for your third question, Nick, I'm going to make it very formal. Nick, what's your third question?
You can't think of one, so you're asking me.
No, of course I can. I want to share this.
I tell you what, rather than sort of specific questions, I've always felt that we're just here to prompt some memories. So I'll just sort of do some general topics, and if anyone's got anything on these sort of subjects. How about things like bizarre travel situations, if any of you have been on tour and, you know, missed deadlines, missed planes, people not showing up for gigs, riders, that's always a good one, crazy riders and demands from various artists and stars, backstage shenanigans and mischief. Anything on any of that?
Well, I can jump in there and say, Nigel, Dick, you must have been on thank you, Nick, and just, no, I wasn't stuck, I was just passing over, but I know how protective you are, but no, but Nigel, you must have been on some fucking disastrous shoots where the artist is playing up and being a complete fucking twat. You must have had that. Can you own up?
I didn't know you two had ever worked together.
Nigel, yeah, go on.
I have had some appalling situations. I've had people fall over and collapse. A certain famous piano player who shall remain nameless, but was called Reg before he changed his name.
God knows who that is.
Yeah, I won't share his name, but I mean, he walked onto the set, looked around, wondered where the camera was. When he saw where the camera was, said, "Oh, he's shooting my fucking profile," threw his chair and went downstairs to where his motorhome was, where my AD was standing outside, and proceeded to trash the motorhome. And I hadn't even started. I mean, I was just getting up to walk over and shake his hand. And, you know, I mean, there was no opportunity to go, hang on, hold, whoa. And eventually he comes back on set, and I had him for 5 hours. It was for a movie. It was a track from a movie, and all the people from the movie company were there. You know, they're all suited and all the rest of it. And I go up to them. I said, do you want to meet Elton? And the head of the studio goes, no, you're doing a fine job. And basically I handed my shot list to the AD, and I just went up to Elton and we started talking about Tumbleweed Connection. And I just asked him a question about every single song on the album between every break to keep him on set. And, you know, just very, very interesting. And halfway through, I knew he was a big Loudon Wainwright fan. So we started having a discussion about Loudon Wainwright. And 20 minutes later, an assistant of his comes running in breathless from Tower Records with a copy of Rufus Wainwright's new album. And he said, and he just threw it at me virtually. He said, here is a present for you. I think you'll really like this. And what I got from that was that he essentially is a good man. He's a decent man, but whatever it is, the success, the, you know, Tantrums and Tiaras is the name of the documentary that was made about him. He can't be nice to some people. I've heard he's a very nice man, but in my experience, he was fucking difficult. And, you know, he was I had more Elton John albums than anybody in my collection. So to see him react like that was very disheartening. But you want to do your best. You always want to do your best for these people because of the hours you've spent at home dealing with your own bullshit, listening to their records, helping them, you know, get you through the day. So Come Down in Time, you know, is still on my playlist. I play it probably once a week. That track has taken me through bag loads of shit. And, you know, it's very interesting.
So you've got to be your own PR agent in a very sort of weird way. I mean, you are a director, but you've got to do much more than that.
Oh, you're a nanny. You know, another thing which I've shared before is when you speak to a Paul McCartney or a Cher or whoever it is, you don't go, oh my God, you know, the first time I heard I Got You, Babe, you know, I was a kid. Blah, blah. They've heard that 18,000 times. The thing to say is, you've got kids, right? You know, what are your kids doing? And because they want to be real people. They want to talk about their real lives. And most people won't, you know, most people, when they bump into them in the street, will go, oh my God, I saw you at wherever it was and you were amazing. And they hear that every day. To have a regular conversation about, so I understand you're into French cooking, is that right? Oh yeah, well, you know, my wife and I, and they go, and it's just engaging them in a human conversation like you can with anybody else. When you get, if you're lucky enough to get to know them more, then you can have a conversation about, so what happened between the second and third album? Something weird. And well, you know, I don't tell many people about that. So that's the thing, is you have to remember they're people too.
Well, in effect, what you're doing is that's exactly the technique that one employs with interview technique on TV or somewhere else. You actually go to their heart and the questions they don't normally get asked. You're absolutely right. So in effect, you're doing what a journalist would do in a funny sort of way. Yeah.